So, I have Pat Gesualdo from the Hall of Heavy Metal History today. And he's the reason why he's joining us is because there's huge news. And I want Pat to speak to this. Riot has been inducted into the Hall of Heavy Metal History. Pat, tell us about the induction. Tell us what the event is all about, when it's taking place, where people can buy tickets, how people can get involved. And that's pretty much it. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, sure. First of all, it's a great honor to be with you, Jimmy, and of course, Lou and Peter, guys. Thank you so much. And great honor to have you guys inducted into the Hall of Heavy Metal History. Riot is an important part of that. The whole purpose of the Hall of Heavy Metal History, right, is to keep metal real and metal alive, especially for future generations. And Riot, you guys are such an important part of that. You guys carry the flag for so many years of keeping it real, and that's why it's such an honor to have you guys inducted into the hall.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and I know the fans. I've been getting a lot of great feedback about that as well. So you guys need to know that everybody's excited. Jimmy, as you had suggested, the show is going to be, the induction ceremony is going to be January 24th in Anaheim, California at the Wyndham Garden Grove. Of course, this year we have a great lineup. We have Bill Ward, of course, from Black Sabbath, Lizzie Hale, Metal Mike, Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater, of course, Riot, Anvil, Exodus, Sammy Ash, and of course, Elliot Rubinson from Dean Guitars, Muncie Ricky, of course, who is a big radio promotion guy. So we have a lot of, fantastic people inducted this year, and it's just so exciting.
And the good news is, I will be there this year.
All right, Jim.
I'll be there in person. I'll be doing this live, just broadcasting live like we did last year, so the whole world can see what this is all about. And I know my buddy Louie's going to be there, and Peter, we're trying to bend his arm to come. So hopefully the whole gang could be there. I know Donnie's going to be there. The Riot guys are going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. So again, that's January 24th, the Hall of Heavy Metal History. Pat, one more time where people could get tickets for this.
Yeah, right on our website, the Hall of Heavy Metal History.org. We are a nonprofit organization. 100% of proceeds goes to, of course, the DAD program, Drums and Disabilities, and we work very closely with the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. So part of that money goes to, Wendy and the great work that Wendy Dio is doing, and the whole team for the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. It's just awesome working with them. And, personally, we're working on some things together to bring drum therapy to help, so many people, not only in California, but around the world, actually.
Yeah, perfect, Pat. So I just had your little poster there, the Hall of Heavy Metal History. Pat, I know you told me you really got to go today. Thank you for joining us just to start things off. I'm gonna let you go on my end because it's the only way I can do it, and really appreciate it. And let's talk about a Rock City. Let's talk about Narita. Let's talk about the documentary, the documentary part 1. A little recap with Pete and Louie. So Pat, I'm gonna drop you off, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you guys so much. Great honor to be here, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. All the
nice
fans.
to meet you.
Yes.
All
All the fans. All of heavymetalhistory.org, and I'm sure we'll see everybody soon. Thank you again, guys.
No
Pleasure.
problem.
Pleasure.
Sure. All right, here we go. That was Pat Gesualdo from the Hall of Heavy Metal History. So, guys, let's talk about Riot. Let's talk Lou and Pete. It's Pete. I know you're still playing with the camera there. Let's talk about Riot. All right, Pete. Right off the bat. Oh, actually, wait a second. Sean Davis wants to say hi. Okay, he wants to say hi to Lou. He wants to say hi to Pete. This guy, Sean, is like, I've met Sean in Toronto. He's a Canadian like me. I met him in Toronto. We've been friends for a long time. This guy he loves Riot. He loves you guys. He loves every album. He loves the early period. He loves the late period. He's just a huge fan of Riot, and he's excited that you guys are here to talk today.
What's happening, Sean?
Hey, nice going, man.
Alex Kouvaris, I guess that's your brother or cousin there, Lou?
That's my son.
That's
Hey,
your
Alex,
son.
buddy.
Hey, Alex. What's
That's
going
his
on?
son.
Sagapo, buddy.
All right. Let's talk about Riot. All right, Pete, I know I want you to start it off. I mean, tell everybody, I know in the documentary you told me you bumped into Mark Reale in grade school and you became friends, but get into a little more depth about that. I mean, how close were you with Mark growing up?
Well, we were very close. We met in school, and we didn't play music at first. We played football and baseball, and went to school, and we cut school together, and we went. Well, we did all kinds of things. I mean, and then we used to fool around with Mark's father's brother sang, and he had a cousin Todd that played bass, and we would practice or just jam out in his basement as little kids. I mean, he didn't even have a guitar yet. I didn't even have a drum yet.
Sure.
So we're talking about 11 to 12 years old. And before anything was even, any band was ever made or anything like that, we were just two kids. He would like to go to Wild West City. His parents would take him. It's like an amusement park. And I lived in the neighborhood, and my parents didn't have a basement that was completely finished like that. So I spent most of my early teen years at his house, and everything, all our equipment stayed at his house. Everything stayed in the basement, everything. And then we would get little kids in the neighborhood. If we were 15, the kids in the neighborhood were 11 or 12, and we would get them to do our chores for us, go to the store for us. Mark made movies for a while.
And that's what I want to get at. I mean, I've been doing this documentary, and I noticed there's just so much footage. I mean, okay, there's not a lot of footage, but more than the typical teenager who would. Did you and Mark make movies together? What'd you guys do? I mean, tell me about the movie part about you and Mark.
Okay.
And I don't mean to cut you off.
Okay, so I always wanted to play music, and I would knock on Mark's door at night, and it was really cold, and he would not want to play. And I would have to beg, let's go downstairs and jam. Oh, it's me and you, let's make some noise. And he didn't always want to do that, so his father would let me in, and eventually he would reluctantly go down to play. But he had an interest in music. You got to understand that Mark had a lot of phases. He had an Elvis Presley phase, he had a Charles Bronson phase, he had a motorcycle phase, leather, slick back hair. He had a lot of different phases. We loved to play football on the street, and just touch football. Then we thought it would be great if we could play, with equipment, helmets and shoulder pads and everything. So we joined the Hurricanes in Brooklyn and together, and with the thought that we would be on the same team, but it didn't turn out that way. He was on the Spartans and I was on the Knights, so we had to play against each other. So that kind of went out the window. So then we would play baseball and hardball and softball, but then he liked to make movies. So he had a little 8mm camera, the kind you wind up, and I had an 8mm camera, the kind you wind up. And we would go to Raleigh Camera on Flatbush Avenue. We would buy rolls of film, go in the dark closet, load the camera, and come back out and make movies with the kids in the neighborhood. They were the actors.
Oh,
now,
cool.
The two biggest movies that we made were Yeti, the Abominable Snowman, and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So I have old Polaroids of Mark would like to direct it, and I would stand in the back and I would just film it. I was just there. I didn't really act, and I didn't film anything. Mark was the cameraman. He wrote the lines, and the kids were the actors. So this is what we did.
I love
and
it.
then after a while, that got old. The kids got older, and then it went on to the next phase, which was maybe, he liked the 50s music. He liked Chuck Berry. He liked all that stuff. And whatever he did, I did. So eventually...
Pete, pause right there. I just don't want to leave Louis out. Louis, at that same time period, what were you doing? Were you learning guitar? What were you doing? And we'll get
you were
back
probably
to
a little baby.
What were you
Well,
doing?
it
How did
depends.
you get started? I mean, you guys are almost the same age, right?
Yeah, we're almost the same age. But, basically, I started playing guitar like when I was 11, and I didn't even own a guitar. My cousin, again, showed me how to play 3 chords on this K guitar, like Jimmy K. And that's basically what happened. And the Beatles
Yeah.
came into my life, and the rest is history. I got into the Beatles tremendously. So, they were my big influence.
So what did your
Yeah.
what did your Greek parents think about you playing guitar? Because my Greek parents didn't like me playing guitar.
Well, my first choice was I was going to be a ball player, and my dad liked that. But when I started playing music, he was pretty upset with me.
Apliti, that's what they've called me. Pete. Okay, so I'm gonna actually have a message from Yvonne for both of you. Okay, here's a message. It says, "Damn, Jimmy, stop to make me cry all the time. Hi, Mr. Bitelli, Mr. Kouvaris. Love and respect from Mexico. Thank you for that great thing called Riot." So Pete, back to
Thank
where
you.
you were. And I'm going to go back and forth because I don't want to leave you guys out, okay? I want to sort of get that sort of
All right,
time frame.
I understand. Let me just say, I understand. It's very involved. This can go on for hours because I grew up with the guy. This is
Yes.
way before anybody. This is
Yeah.
before any kind of organization, anything. Mark's father's brother sang, Mark's cousins, and we would just fool around. And then we would cut school, we'd go down the basement, and we would play. And then after a while, we realized that we wanted to do this more. And now you're talking about block parties. You're talking about getting a guitar player, getting a singer. It's very involved. It's a very long story. But just to make it short, we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to play music, and we wanted to get paid for it, and we wanted to, be good at it. And eventually, the movies stopped, the greaser stuff stopped, everything stopped, and we just focused on the music. We got a lot of guys from the neighborhood to play. We auditioned a lot of crackpots. We ran ads. This is before Phil, before God, before Louis, before anybody, just to get a third person to make more music. And it just kind of went on from there, The next big addition was getting Phil.
Yeah.
So it was me. Yeah. It was me, Mark, and Phil. And that's really when it started. That's when it really started, like, say, this is good, And we played out as a 3-piece, and Mark sang. And then Mark really didn't want us. We knew we wanted a lead singer, so a guy that sang. So eventually we found Guy. Mark's father said he saw him at a block party. Me and Mark said we saw him at a block party. There's a lot of controversy about that, but it's not who saw him first. Well, he was in a band called Driftwood and For Shake's Sake. And we basically talked to him and stole him from there to come over to Mark's basement and talk to us about playing with us. And eventually he liked what he saw, he liked what he heard, and he ended up playing in the band. And so it was me, Mark, Phil, and Guy. And that's when we started writing songs, and that's when this whole Rock City thing came. And we played like crazy, every club in Manhattan for no money, week after week after week after week. We had Daryl, we had Mike, we had David Darby, we had Rob, he's a dentist now. We had all these guys moving equipment for us with no money because they believed in us. They thought we were good. And they worked real hard, the light man, sound man, they did so much for us. And they were all our friends from the neighborhood. So everything about Riot was based around the people from the neighborhood. Rick and Louis was from Queens, but all of us were from Brooklyn. And then when Louis came on board, that was later on, after me, Mark, Phil, and Guy played out, all different dances, high school dances, block parties. We weren't making any money, but we were getting exposure. Then we started playing clubs in Manhattan, traveling to Manhattan, moving our own equipment, using Mark's father's truck or my brother's station wagon, anything we can do to get to Manhattan and play for free. And then they liked us, and they kept calling us back and back and back. So you had Copperfields, you had Max's, you had Club 82, you had what's that other one, Lou?
Gildersleeves.
Gildersleeves, yeah. I mean, it's just it was a lot of fun. We were like 20-something years old, but I never had a good drum set. I sold my car to buy my drum set out of the window in King James Music because I had crap drums,
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the drums I had,
Sure.
I sold to Phil's now wife, Kim, which is Mark's cousin, and Kim's brother is a drummer for Hall & Oates. So
Cool.
Brian Dunn had my first drum set that his father gave to him as a little kid. So it's like this really it's really an interesting story. You know, it really is. It's really involved, but we knew we wanted to play music, and Mark was my friend, and I was his friend, and we just grew up together and just evolved. You know, it just.
Pause there a sec, Peter. Pause. So we got a shout out to from Daryl Goldstein. Do you know Daryl Goldstein?
Hey, Daryl, come on.
Thank you, Peter.
His nickname is Kong. Yeah, he's the greatest light man Riot ever had.
So Adolf Maya says, "Hey, Lou and Peter, keep rocking, brother." Sean,
thank you, Adolf.
Very, very
thank you, Adolf.
Lou, what was? And again, I'm going to go back and forth. I don't want to leave any of you guys out, right?
Yeah.
So, Lou, tell me about. And we're going to move to Rock City pretty soon, and when you join the band. But what was the rock scene like in New York? I know me and Peter talk about this. What was the rock scene? So, Lou, what was the rock scene like?
Take it, Lou.
Take it, Lou. What was the rock scene like back then? I mean, we had, the Dictators, we had the Ramones, we had
Talking Heads.
You had Blondie, you had 212, you had all kinds of great bands. There was a lot of great bands out there. The Tough Darts. You can. The name's escaping now because I'm getting old. But saying that, the rock scene was great. They were, you never know who was going to come down. I mean, we've had the Stones come down and hear us play Copperfields, which was kind of great. Lenny Kaye came down from the Patti Smythe band. So you never know who's going to walk in. Some of the guys from Kiss. Kiss.
David Bowie, Lou Reed.
Yeah,
it's insane, isn't it? It was just crazy. Even Twisted Sister, right? I mean, rocking at least later on, at least.
Twisted Sister came by a little bit later, but I will tell you that the rock scene was the best back then. I mean, we're never going to see a period like that again. And getting when I got into Riot, we started playing all these little clubs, and they were the best.
But pause, Louis. Tell me about your, okay, we know that you put an ad, sorry, not an ad, you put it in your file, right? In the music.
There was a music referral service.
Referral service, that was it, yes.
Yeah.
And what was okay, so you're at the audition now, right? Pete's there, Mark's there. All right, Louis plugs in. Whoa, was there a callback, or you said you got the job right away? What was it like?
No, it wasn't. I got down and we just gelled really well. I was having a grand old time. And it was really funny. As I was coming down to audition, a friend of mine was coming up. He wasn't a friend of mine. He was an acquaintance, another musician. I'll even say his name. His name was Julius. And he came up, and I kind of like whispered to him. I said, "How's the band?" He goes, they were all right. So I said, "Okay." So I went down, and I started playing, and the band was great. We were jamming. We started jamming out. It was the greatest stuff I've ever done, man. It was great. So what happened was after I left, they said, I thank you very much, and we'll get back to you. Well, the next day I got a call back from Mark and Guy, and they said, we'd like you in the band. I said, yeah, man, I'd love it. I thought it was great.
All right. And what did you think of the band? I mean, was it like a Montrose? What was the model? Yeah. Was that your model? I mean, the musical model, the style you were playing. We want to sound like Montrose, or we want to sound like. You guys kind of sounded like the Canadian version of April Wine to me. I mean, back in the day, the older stuff from April Wine. It was a hard.
Well, let me tell you, there was a lot of things going on with the Clash at that time, and Johnny Rotten and punk and everything. And we knew we wanted to be a high energy rock and roll band, clean and fresh, not with suits and not with costumes, just sneakers, pants, a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Like Montrose. He loved Ronnie Montrose. I loved Carmassi. You had Bill Church, and you had Sammy Hagar. All right, this is way back in '73. The first Montrose album came out. We played the hell out of it. We knew we wanted to be like them. 3 guys and the lead singer. This is what really started it. Montrose was big. Mark would be the first one to tell you that. And then this is what we modeled ourselves after. And then Guy agreed. Guy was really into Foghat. He loved the boogie bands. Oh, man, he loved Foghat. But he took that, and then they started writing songs in that vein of the Montrose thing and what, they liked. And that's what Riot really became. It was Montrose, that power trio with the singer. That's where it started. And then, it's like anything else. As time goes on, you want to, improve, so you want to add another guitar player. Yeah. So this is when, Louis came into the picture, and then guys like after it. You mature, but we tried to stay within that Montrose track right there
Yeah,
because
the
that
model,
was
the model.
We liked Derringer too. I mean, we liked Derringer and
Derringer. That whole Ronnie Montrose, Derringer thing,
yeah,
they're all
I
one
mean,
big family.
you
Edgar
know,
Winter. I mean, me and Mark loved Edgar Winter. They only come out at night album when they were on Midnight Special. We went to see every concert in the city. We never missed it. The Beacon, the Capitol, Central Park, man, wherever they were, we were. The Montrose, Edgar Winter, Rick Derringer, they're all in that one circle. And they all like played in each other's band, so it was perfect
well,
for
that's
us. He loved
Peter.
Derringer. Yeah.
Peter, that was one of the reasons why I think I got picked out of that. I mean, there was 10,000
Yeah.
guitar players in that referral service, and my influence was exactly that. And that's, I think, one of the reasons
Yes.
why
When
I got
Louis
a
played,
call.
when Louis played, we knew that was it. I mean, he fit right in. He looked good. He played good. They played well off each other. There was all right. That's it. He's in.
Guys,
there's no need to look
you know
at
that
more.
video for My Father's Place? Is that what it's? What was it called? What was that club called? My Father's
That
Place?
was my
My
father's.
father's play.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure I got the right name for the club. I got to say, when I see you guys play, and this was Overdrive, when I see you guys play Overdrive, the energy, I mean, the audience, the energy, it was unbelievable. What?
Tell him, Lou.
Yeah, Jimmy, that was the Rock Palace. That wasn't my father's place.
Okay, it was the Rock Palace.
Rock
Wherever
Palace.
that video is. I'm just trying to say,
Yeah.
my point is, the energy you guys had, you could see you guys jammed. You guys really played together. You were tight. And it's just something unbelievable. I watched that video today, and I just love it. I love watching it. You guys bouncing around stage. It was just beautiful. Beautiful. High energy.
That video was shelved for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And I saw it someplace, and I grabbed it, and I put it on YouTube right away. And that was such a magical moment for us because that soundtrack is live. It's not dubbed. It's not
Beautiful.
That's all live. That's live Riot. I mean, I think, my opinion, when we used to play, especially when we used to open up at Gildersleeves and stuff like that, and the Rock Palace, I mean, people's hair would be blown back by when we started to play. We were like a very powerful band, and I think that was one of the reasons why I think we became, popular in the sense that we really had some power behind us, and the songs were very, very good too, of course. But the way we played them was great. Mark Mark and I were both basically growing up. We still weren't at our best, I think, but we gelled so well together.
I agree.
And it was one of those things where when we played together, we bounced off each other very nicely. There was no kind of craziness between us. We actually wanted to make everything sound great.
Yeah, Pete. So now you're going into the recording of Rock City, but before you get into the recording of Rock City, the material on the first album, how long did it take to write? Is that like, I know that there was stuff written with Phil, right? Was this stuff, like Louis, you contributed, let's see, you did Overdrive, you did Tokyo Rose, Heart of Fire, and Gypsy Queen. I mean,
Yes.
were those songs written, within a 1 year period? 6 months? How long did it take you to write these songs? Were they written quickly?
They were done pretty quickly. I mean, we would rehearse quite a bit, and what would happen is there was sometimes, I would come to rehearse a little early, and it was me, Pete, and the bass player, and we would just kind of rock out and stuff, and then we'd get a lot of ideas doing that. Then Mark would come down, and then we kind of bounce off each other and say, "Oh, these are pretty good ideas." Later, Mark and I would go in his room, like on our own time, and we'd come up and put the parts together, and that's how a lot of these songs were I think derived.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about the first 3 songs with Phil. There were 3, right, Pete? There was Rock City, Desperation, and
Angel.
Angel, right? I mean, were those recorded in the same time period? Were they recorded before?
No.
Was Phil in the
you
studio?
You have to understand something, that before Billy and Steve, those songs were written, and we were playing in the club in Manhattan, and John Paris and Richie Alexander wanted us. So they took us to their house, right? And we recorded Angel, Desperation, and what was the other one? Rock City.
No, it was Desperation,
Angel,
Angel, and Warrior.
and,
Rock
and
City
Warrior.
wasn't Rock City with Phil?
no, Rock City was with Jimmy.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
It was Warrior.
he's credited as writing the song, no?
Right. But John Paris and Richie Alexander had us before Billy and Steve. And then they recorded those songs for us. There was only 3. And there were 3 other ones that never made it. I Am the Marshal, Sweet Felicia, and We Can Make It. And I don't think anybody ever heard of those, but I have them on tape someplace. So there were 6. Those 3 were the best, the Desperation ones. And then somewhere along the line, Billy and Steve got rid of them. They made us, they wanted us, and they said, Richie and John get lost. And they took those songs and they put them on the first album. So it really wasn't with Billy and Steve. Those first 6 were 2 other guys that discovered us in the club and wanted in on us. So they were like really early. Angel and Desperation were really early songs, way before Warrior and Tokyo Rose and Warrior. They were early.
Lou, tell me about Tokyo Rose. Okay, who came up with that sort of reggae riff? Was it you or was it Mark? I mean,
well, the chords, the opening chords. I come up with the opening chords for that, and that's the way it started.
Okay.
And if you listen to some of the stuff, there's a lot of similarities between that and Gypsy Queen, because that was kind of like my style of writing, those kind of parts. And Mark and I just embellished on that, and that's basically it. The song came out exactly the way.
Tell me about the keyboards now, okay? Peter, the keyboard, which was
okay.
What was his name? Yeah. Tell me, he plays on Warrior. It's Rock City. I think there's a little piano right in the background. And I think Warrior has some keyboards on it.
All right. For a while, a short while, we thought it would be great. We were experimenting. Let's get a keyboard player. All right. So Steve Costello was another neighborhood kid. We all knew him. He played keyboards, and we brought it in. We thought maybe we wanted a keyboard player. We weren't sure. So we got him. And we only used them on those 2 songs, and we recorded them on those 2 songs. But it turned out that we really didn't want a keyboard player. We wanted 2 guitars, bass, singer, and drums. So it was an experiment. It sounded real good. He was real good, but we decided that no, we're not going to go the keyboard rule. We're going to keep it like it is. So it's kind of freaky that it happened that way, but it wasn't on purpose. It was. We brought it in for Warrior because it sounded good, and then on the other song, but it didn't stick because we didn't want to be a band with a keyboard player, and that's about it.
What about Lou? Tell me about Overdrive. Okay, to me, Overdrive is the best track on the album, hands down. Between the rhythm section and the guitar, it has everything, right? And it speeds up at the end, and it just builds up. Tell me about the guitar work, how you worked it out with Mark. You guys are trading off on solos. Just tell me a little bit about Overdrive.
Well, I came up with the first part of the song, and Mark and I, we just had this uncanny thing of just putting parts together. Mark kind of put together the ending of that song where it got faster and faster and faster, but all that beginning stuff was just I basically came up with that stuff. And it's kind of hard to sit there and kind of tell you exactly what happened. It was so long ago.
Please take out your guitar and tell us how it happened. No. Whatever you could remember, it's all good, my friend. It's all good.
Well, basically, the song where it goes ba-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-dum, dum, ba-dum. All that stuff. That was kind of stuff I came up with, and basically the song just traveled from there. Mark and I contributed parts. And then the solos, we both went back and forth. The solo. If you see the live version of that song,
yes, and that's the video I was talking about. Yeah,
right. It's not the same as it is on the studio version.
Okay.
We played some extra solos and and stuff like that. It was much more powerful live, much more powerful.
Okay, so I got someone's writing some comments. Daryl Goldstein is saying Falish. There you go, Peter. Felicia. Yes, that's what he means. He's abbreviating it. Calvin C. is saying Riot predated the metal revolution of the 80s by about 5 years, and the right backing they should have been easily as successful as Kiss and Van Halen. They were just too far ahead of their time. Thank you for the music, Riot. I first heard the song Overdrive on the radio when I was living in San Antonio, Texas. in 1978. I was completely blown away with this band. They played the kind of rock that you can literally feel in your gut, and with the attitude, long live Riot. I agree 100%. Tom says an overlooked song on Riot Rock City is This Is What I Get. And yeah, let's talk about This Is What I Get. When was that one written, Pete?
Well, they said, what they used to say is, when a band has a hit single, they could take a crap on stage and they'll love it. So this is our attempt at a hit single. That it was the end of the album. They just threw it on there. That sound that you hear is called backwards echo. So that was a Billy and Steve creation. That was a backwards echo. So this was our attempt at a hit single because they were trying to get that too. When they would go over to Meet Them France and sign the band to Japan, Australia, and Europe, and all this crap, they threw that in as an add-on, but it wasn't a goof, it wasn't a joke, it was serious, but it was it's okay, but it was our.
I thought it was a great tune, Peter. I thought it was a great tune.
It's okay, but it's not a Warrior. It's not a.
But it was more of a commercially type of a written
that's
song.
What I mean by hit single. Commercial.
Yeah, and definitely had that song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. That commercial thing. And believe it or not, I really liked that tune. I had nothing to do with that song, by the way, as far as the writing of that tune.
I always liked it. Everybody gave me crap about it, but I liked it.
It's not a mellow song at all, Tom says. So just so everybody knows, November 8th is part 2 of Fight or Fall, the documentary. I should have said that at the beginning of the show. So November 8th, take out your little calendars on your iPhones, put it down on the Metal Voice. You can watch it there. Just subscribe. You'll be the first to watch it. Lou, you want to say something?
I don't know what to say, except looking forward to the rest of it, Jim.
November 8th is actually the day.
Hey, Babinga.
Babinga.
November 8th is actually the day. The reason why I picked that date is because it is the day that Guy Speranza passed away. So
God rest his soul.
That's it. So Guy, a great singer. Guys, can you tell me on Rock City, Guy's vocal delivery, his vocal, his singing? I mean, was he doing it in one take? Did he just knock it out of the park? Did it take him a long time to do it? I would think Guy, being such a great singer, I'm such a big fan of Guy. This guy was knocking out of the park.
Well, this much I know. When we would record these songs, just to keep my place, Guy would sing with me, and so it's not that he did it. He sang constantly. So if he did take it in one take, I would say he did, because he sang along with me, even though his voice wasn't being recorded. We were doing the rhythm tracks first, and a lot of this was done at night, and it was in the basement of Big Apple. And but he would sing along with me on the rhythm tracks, and then he would do his stuff at the end.
Very cool. Yeah. What do you remember, Lou?
Well, he never took a long time to. As a matter of fact, we did that album so quickly it was ridiculous. Yeah. They were rushing us through the solos and all that kind of stuff. It was such a blur. And, I think if we would have had a little bit more time to put some more solos together or figure stuff out, things would have came out a little differently. But, it is what it is.
I don't know about that. I think it would have changed the whole... We're getting drilling there. Pete, is there drilling there? Pete? Okay. Vacuuming. Let me guess it's vacuuming. Is it a new song you're working on or something? What? It's like some sort of metal track. What the hell was that, man? Is it your phone? Okay. All right.
I got some more bad news for you. I got to stand up for a second and get a power thing going here.
Okay, sure. Stand up. Take a break. So, Lou, what's going on in your life?
Everything and nothing at the same time. Still playing a lot of music, Jim.
So let's just talk about, again, Rock City, okay? Now, the album's out. How long have you been in the band? Were you in the band when Rock City came out? Was it a year? Less than a year?
Well, I was there. I was there for the writing and everything of it. I mean, it was there when I got there, but it wasn't finished. So when I got there in I think it was in May of '75, that we were still working on that. And there's a couple little things that are in that song that I kind of contributed to. I didn't write the song, but there was a few things I contributed in there. And we did it pretty quickly. I mean, I think 8 months later, we were in the studio with the rest of the material, and the album I think took maybe 2 or 3 months to do.
Okay.
And it was out in it was really out in '76. It says '77,
Yeah,
but it was really out in '76.
Okay, I wanted to ask Peter about that famous picture. Let me find it here, okay? Here's the famous picture of... Okay, there's you guys walking down the street. I know you can't see it right now. Now, the famous picture that I'm referring to is you all you guys here, your back is against the wall, and there's Riot spray painted in back.
That was in the Bronx. That was in the Bronx.
So where was that? Who spray painted that Riot on there? Was it Peter? Who did that? What's up with that picture?
All right, I'll tell you.
Okay, Peter, tell us.
All right.
Did you talk to the construction guys? Did you have a word with them?
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay.
What happened was...
Tell me about that picture.
All right, so that was taken in Manhattan, and Billy and Steve had planned that beforehand. So they had paid somebody, or they themselves did it illegally, went there and spray painted right on the wall.
I love it.
Peter, I thought it was in the Bronx. I thought it was in the Bronx.
No, it was in Manhattan.
Was it?
Guys,
it was a playground.
Somebody sent me...
Yeah, it was down there, First Avenue, down there, because we had Mark Allen, the photographer. He was with us that day. And he's,
okay.
So then
Guys,
they had this done before.
Pause. So Greg Walls is telling me it's Ralph Bunchy Park across from the United Nations.
See?
Is that where it was?
No. That was
Ralph Bunchy Park across from, and this is Greg Walls, who used to play in Anthrax. He sent me a message saying, Ralph Bunchy Park, I don't even know where this is.
Show me the picture.
You know why I remember that? Because there's a picture of us taken in front of a waterfall, and all that was done down there, really early in the morning. They're having us drink Jack Daniels and all this stuff at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then getting back to that, they had, and we don't even drink. We don't do anything bad. And they had the wall done beforehand. 4 days after that, all we did was walk in and stand against the wall, because the Riot thing was written on there a week before we even got there. So, that's how that happened. They planned it, and they paid somebody to do it.
So it was Steve Loeb who actually got somebody to do that. Is that it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if they did it or they had somebody do it, but it didn't. They had somebody do it because they knew that would be a great picture. It was ready for us by the time we got there.
Well, I'm getting this picture as we speak. I'm downloading it. I'm going to show everybody this picture. You guys can't see it.
Yeah.
But it looks like today. But
black and white.
So tell me more about. There was a lot of pictures taken, like you guys walking down the street. Were all those pictures
all same day? All done in the same day.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
That's the one, and I'm going to try to find you a picture.
Okay,
there.
that one is in front of the United Nations.
Yes.
Okay, that's the United Nations. That gentleman is correct, right there.
Yeah, but we did it all in the same day. We spent all morning doing it. We were walking around around the United Nations downtown, and that's what we did.
Well, Peter, all I could say.
Go ahead.
All I could say is I'm pretty sure we were in the Bronx, but then. What do I know?
So, guys, tell me about now. I know you guys. As I dig up the picture, what it looks like today, it's really cool. Tell me about after Rock City. So, you guys you're doing some more shows, a couple of festivals. Peter, Lou, what happened after Rock City was released? You guys finally have an album, right? You're holding it in your hands. It's physical. What was that excitement like?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, it wasn't easy. They promised that it would be out soon, and we didn't believe a word they said until we saw it on vinyl. One day, they called us up to the office on Broadway, and they said, okay, here you go. This is what it looks like. So this is the album. They gave like five or six of them each to each of us to take home. Then we believed them that we have it in our hands. We see it, Rock City. Here's the vinyl, blah, 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 blah. Then they sent it, as they do, typically, to all the radio stations in the country. So, and then we waited a while, you know, and then all of a sudden we got a phone call saying, the people in Texas are playing your album, and they want to see what you look like. They want us to come down and play. And we looked at each other, Texas. We never even been out of New York. We never did anything. Why Texas? So then San Antonio was known for breaking a lot of bands, Rush and this one and that one. It's a great rock and roll town. It still is.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went. So they called us down there to play, and we went down there and we played, and then we went home. Then they called us back. We went home. They called us back, and that's the way it started. Then we ended up doing the whole circuit: San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Killeen, Seguin, Corpus. We did the whole thing. Then we go back home, and then we write more songs. And then after a while, Narita got written. But we kept going back to San Antonio because that's the biggest place that they couldn't get enough of it. They just loved us. And then we made a lot of friends, and then we kept all the friends that we made. It was just something. Mark's buried here. Yeah. I mean, he loved it. I mean, no matter what, we would always come back to San Antonio.
Now,
and that's how it started.
I'm going to show you the picture now. Now you guys can't see it, but it's right across the street from the United Nations, from Greg Walls, from Anthrax, ex-Anthrax. And there's these words: "They shall not beat their swords into the plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks." Anyways, it looks exactly like the picture that you guys were walking in or spray painted.
That's definitely, well, no, that's not the spray painted place. That's
the walking street shot.
That's the street shot, and the one that you saw was in a handball court. And again, my recollection is, like I said, the Bronx, which doesn't matter where it is, but just saying that was done in a totally different location.
And now getting back to what Pete was saying. Okay, so Joe Anthony, the DJ in San Antonio, broke a lot of bands in the Texas area. And Riot was one of them, right? And it's amazing because this is how the world is. It's all about a bunch of dominoes and everything links together. So as you guys were playing in San Antonio, there's this young little guy named Donnie Van Stavert, and, you know, the biggest Riot fan because he heard on the radio from the Joe Anthony show about this band Riot.
Yeah.
And actually, Pete,
I heard about that. Yeah.
And so Donnie actually met you, Pete, which you probably didn't even know who he was at the time, right? And it's just an amazing story how everything connects and all the pieces come together. He was a fan from those days, right? And he became part of the band later on.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's just truly amazing. And again, being inducted. Yeah, it's amazing. So Lou, okay, now, what were the highlights during sort of the small tour or the tour of Rock City, supporting the album?
Well, we had some heavy airplay in I believe it was someplace upstate New York, and Journey was doing a tour, and we were getting heavy airplay up there. We were like number one or number two up there with Journey. So they invited us to play up there. So we opened up for Journey back in
outdoors.
It was 1978, and we opened up for them at Triple City Stadium in Binghamton, New York.
Yeah.
That was a great show. That was a wonderful show for me personally too.
Neil Young, it was Neil Young's birthday. Remember that?
You're talking about?
Oh, that was Florida.
That was Florida.
Right.
So basically, we did that. Then we did, prior to that, after we did the album, we got to go down to Florida where we opened up for. It was Neil Young's birthday, I believe. Like
that was 77.
Neil Young was there. You had Mark Fauna. The Mark Fauna band was there, and they actually recorded the double album live Outlaws album there, which is still around.
Point Blank.
It was Point Blank. Yeah, it was Point Blank. The Outlaws. It was the Outlaws. The Point Blank also played there too.
Yeah.
But we had some great. That was a great show. There was about 300,000 people there.
Tell them when we played, Lou. We played Friday night and Sunday morning. Remember?
That's right. We played twice. They invited us back twice, so that was kind of a highlight for us.
So
a lot of news coverage.
So were you actually writing material now for Narita as you were going on tour?
Yeah. The songs were written. We had written half the album already. Mark and I wrote White Hot, I think it was, or White Rock, I believe it was. The other one was Kick Down the Walls. And I came up with, I basically wrote the song 49er.
Yes.
That was a riff I wrote, and
great song.
that was basically my tune. And then again, Mark helped me with some of the other stuff, but it was basically my tune on that. I never got credit for that, but it's not in the album, but it was one of the songs I wrote.
And before we get into the album itself, so Lou, tell me now, okay, the documentary, we had to keep it snappy and short about your exit from the band. I want to give you this time to really explain to everybody sort of what transpired, how did it all go down, and how shocking it was, and how unfair it was.
Well, listen, I thought everything was going fine. I mean, I think Peter will tell you too. My last gig was basically I think the last time I played was when we were with, we did the Journey tour there. Yeah. It was the Wheel in the Sky tour with them. And that was basically my last gig. What can I say? It was we played that gig. I hung out, as we were exiting our show, our part of the show, yeah. Journey was coming up as we were going down after our show. They were coming up to play, and Neil Schon actually grabbed me and told me I was a great guitar player, and I'm looking at him. And I mean, if any highlight of anything, and I don't give a shit about anything else out there, that is something that I will keep for the rest of my life. Somebody like that telling me, because I respected him very much for his, for his guitar playing and who he was and who he was playing with.
Sure.
And he when he told me that, I was like, I was like, holy shit, this guy thinks I'm good. I said to him as he told me that, I said, would you mind very much if I watched you play? And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, come on up. So I went up on stage with him, and where I was playing, he was playing. In other words, the spot that I played, and I was behind his rig. And I watched him play that whole gig, and they had just gotten Steve Perry in the band, which is amazing. And I watched that whole show. So it was kind of like an amazing, amazing night for me. So after the show, he said, let's go back to the hotel. And we went back to the hotel. We were staying at the same one. And we were hanging out, and we were kind of telling our tales of woe. And prior to that gig, we were in this trailer. And what had happened was it was me, Peter, the rest of the band, and Mark and I were having a discussion. I wanted to use this thing called an Echoplex, which everybody knows about who's from the 70s. It was an analog digital delay. And Mark said to me, no, you can't use it. And I said, why not? And we got into an argument. No fist fight or anything, just an argument. Two brothers just having an argument, so to speak. And as we were arguing, who comes in but Billy and Steve and, the manager, Santucci, at the time. And he said, it was Artie, yeah. And he said, hey, he goes, guys, we're ready to go on. He goes, what's this? Let's save this for later. And I said, okay. So I wound up not using the Echoplex. And I think that might have been one of the reasons that I had the exit of the band after that. Because what happened was after we had done the show, after I hung out with Neil Schon that night, I went to bed. I woke up in the morning and there was nobody there. Like I said, I was kind of like left in the lurch that night. So that was it. The very, very next day, I got a phone call saying that my services were no longer needed, blah, blah, blah. And the documentary says the rest. And that was my last. I was pretty much crushed because it's what I love to do, at the time.
When you're young, I guess when you're young guys, it doesn't seem like you're really going to hurt someone else, right? But when you look back at it, it really is a big blow. I don't know what to tell you, Lou. I just feel bad for you. Well, shit happens. What are you going to do, right?
Well, listen. Listen. For me, it was a great experience. I got a chance to play with some great guys. The music was great.
Exactly.
The only thing that I regret is that Loeb never put my name on the album, which he should have done, as far as my credits go. So that's one of my regrets. As far as the rest of the stuff, it's water under the bridge.
On the Metal Blade release, though, your name is on it, is it not?
On the Metal Blade release,
wasn't there like a re-release, like the Rock City re-release? Was that on Metal Blade? It was on Metal Blade.
You'd have to tell me. I don't know anything about that.
I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything. I'm not sure.
But you see, so there. I mean, I have an album from Germany.
Yeah.
And on the German album, I have credit for one of the songs. So if you're going to put it on one of them, why didn't he just put it on the rest of the stuff?
Yeah.
But and I was promised that Guy. Mark and I and Guy, said whoever writes the songs that we're going to get credit for it in the whole 9 yards. So I don't know if it was a political thing. I don't know if the guys forgot. I have no clue. But Peter was there. He knows what was going on.
Peter, what was going on, Peter? I mean, what was going on in Mark's head?
I think we covered that in the interview.
Okay. You know what? Let's move on to something else, actually. Let's talk about the album Narita. I don't want to dwell on that too much. Let's talk about Narita and the music, because I think that's the most important thing. And actually, Tom's got a question for you, Peter. He says, who's that girl moaning on Narita's Hot for Love?
Oh, that's Rhonda.
Okay, that's Rhonda.
Yeah, that's a girl who kind of like doubled as a secretary and a girlfriend of one of the engineers, and she just happened to be there and had like semi-talent and was good enough to do it. So, it's no professional. It was a friend of a friend of a girl from the studio, a regular.
And whose idea was it to record "Born to Be Wild"? The cover of "Born to Be Wild."
Well,
yeah, Pete. Yeah, who decided to do that?
I don't know.
Actually, we like Steppenwolf, and we would play "Born to Be Wild." Not Magic Carpet Ride, but we like Steppenwolf. We played that as fooling around in the basement. Every once in a while, we would break into a cover song, and "Born to Be Wild" was really popular, and everybody played it. It's like everybody played Wipeout as a drummer when it came out, or Inagata Davida, or Smoke on the Water. It's like everybody, they got to play Smoke on the Water. So everybody played Born to Be Wild.
Yeah.
And Guy wanted to do it, and we already knew it. So what the hell, we did it. It was really Guy pushed for it, and we really didn't care, the rest of us, because it was good. It cooked. It was fast. Maybe a little too fast, but it was real easy to play, and we liked it. And Guy said, I really want to do that. And so we said, okay, it could have been anything, but it turned out to be that, because Guy wanted it, and we really didn't care what cover we did, so we did it.
And you know what? I love the drumming on Narita, by the way, the whole album, and especially the song Narita. I thought you did a great. It's just got such a great vibe and feel. Your drumming on the album.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, like I said, long story short,
I love
we were a little more relaxed on the second album.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a little, all right. The first album was a little raw, but it was good. And the second one, people get better, and you feel more relaxed. And they wanted to use the studio drums on a lot of the songs. They said because they made commercials during the day for Chevrolet and Coca-Cola, and the drums were already mic'd up and EQ'd. And when we came in at night, they said, the drums are hot. You want to use them, or we got to tear them down and set yours up and EQ everything all over again. So I would say, all right, and I really didn't want to do it, but I did it. And the studio drums are on the Narita, and I just said, all right, let's just do it. It was just and they had Roddy Huey engineering now, not the guy, not the first Jim Tom the Max Duffy. That's right, he was the first guy, and then they got Roddy Huey, and then Jim Jordan. But Roddy Huey really got that different sound. He really listened to us, and really spent time on the drums and the bass. And the bass went direct into the board, but he really paid attention. And
the rhythm section, the bass and the drums are spot on that album.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you just kill it, Pete. Tell me about Narita, the song. Was it a jam? Was it something you guys were playing over? To me, it sounds like something you've been fooling around with for years. The instrumental Narita. I mean, that song is just killer. It's like your YYZ. It's like Riot's YYZ of the Rush version of the instrumental.
Well, I don't know if I can just say it like this. When you think of Overdrive, you got to think of me and Mark. You know what you were thinking of? Rock Candy by Montrose. Okay.
Yeah.
We love Rock Candy, and Overdrive is kind of a takeoff of Rock Candy. Now, Narita is a takeoff of another Montrose song, that we loved. Can you guess which one it is? That it sounds like? Kind of
I
sounds
don't
like.
know. Tell me.
All right, it's off the Warner Brothers Presents album. All right.
Yeah.
It's called Matriarch.
Okay, I'll take a look. I'm not the biggest Montrose fan. I just know
All right.
it's sort of like in a distance.
All right. Well, yeah, you got to understand that we were, and we didn't. We, of course, we're not going to steal a song, but when you listen to something you love, it sticks in your head, and you write something like it. It's not nothing like it, but it reminds you of it. It's in that vein, you know.
A vibe.
So that's kind of a takeoff of Matriarch, Narita, even though it was instrumental. Yeah.
Kick now, Lou. I don't know if you had your hand into Kick Down the Wall.
Yeah.
Did you have your hand in that song?
Yep.
I got to tell you, okay. Now, if you take any Motley Crue song and you put it next to this song, you would say, "Holy crap, this is a Motley Crue song." Have you guys? Has anybody ever said that before to you? From the guitar tone, and again, I'm not saying you copied Motley Crue. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Listen to the guitar tone and then put on their first two albums, either Shadow of the Devil or Too Fast for Love. And you'll say, "Oh my God!" From the lyrics to the vocal delivery, this sounds like Motley Crue completely ripped you guys off. And if anybody else agrees or disagrees, have you ever heard that, Lou? Anybody's never heard that.
I'm gonna go and listen to that. What was the name of that Motley Crue tune?
Put on their first two albums, Too Fast for Love or Shout at the Devil. From those songs, listen to the guitar tone, listen to the delivery of a guy, and it's very similar to Vince Neil. That sounds like a Motley Crue song. That was the first time I heard it. I thought it was Motley Crue. It was way back now.
You may be right.
Never. Nobody ever said that to me. But it's always a.
I'll be the first. I will be the first.
But I'll take a listen because it's And
again, it could be coincidence, right? It just could be coincidence.
Yeah.
Kick Down the Wall, Lou. One of my favorite tracks on the album. Tell me about the writing about that song. Did you actually record anything? Were you in the studio? Or
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I actually went into the studio and I did 49er.
Yes.
That was the tune I started with, and then that was it. That was basically the end of my the road for me. But that was one of the tunes that I started. I don't even know if I'm on there. I have no clue. I don't know if they used my guitar work. I have no clue.
Well, you're on Wikipedia, so your names are credited there, and that's cool. People will remember. So you don't know if they actually stripped your guitar parts off of it, but you did co-write it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me preface on that particular tune.
Sure.
I basically wrote that whole tune.
Nice. Very cool. Okay.
That was a very, very cool thing for me, and I submitted. Mark and I, just kind of polished it up. That's about it.
Now I love White Rock, and I'm gonna ask Peter this. So the reason why I love White Rock, not because the girl's moaning there at the end, it's because I love how it's sort of very similar to Overdrive, right? Whereas it picks up at the end, and it really picks up, and the drums and the bass and the guitar, they're shining, right? Tell me about, who came up with that sort of ending for the song.
Well,
it's
I
like
didn't
anything
come
else.
up with the ending, but
it evolved. Like Louis said, we practice all the time. We practice a lot.
Peter, I can help you. I can help you a little bit with that too. And I don't know if you'll remember, but like I said, I used to come a little earlier, and we would practice a little bit before Mark would come down.
Right.
White Rock was one of the songs that I came down. I was jamming with you. We would play with that. We were fiddling around with the beginning of that song, and that was kind of like where that started.
Dan, 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 dan. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then, like I said, it evolved. It didn't
Hot for Love, I'm
happen.
talking about, right? White Rock was the track after.
No, you're talking about White.
I'm talking about Hot for Love. Sorry.
Oh, Hot for Love.
Hot for Love. I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ending where it stops and then it just speeds up and. I love that part. That's incredible, and that's where you guys have been playing together for so long and you're so tight. Love the drums. The drums, have a certain energy and feel throughout the whole album. And any drummer, I'm sure they'd say the exact same thing I just said.
But the funny thing about that is that when we practiced that song and the guys wrote the song, we would just it was like if we played it, we just all played the same thing at the same time. It's not like we had to like sit there and go, you do this, you do that. It just came so natural that we knew that, it just came natural. I can't lie. And then we just said, okay, that's it. And then we practice it again. It's not like we had to change it. It's just like we knew what the other guy was thinking. And then Guy would chime in, and then that's just the way it happened. Louis and all of us. It's just like we just played it, and then we just knew that it would work. And then when the song was over, we did it again. And then again, and it just stuck. And then we go, okay, we got that. Let's go on to something else.
All right, so
that's it.
And here's the last one. You guys both could answer this one. Waiting for the Taking. I'm not sure if Lou, you had your hand in writing that one. It's like I would say the hit single or that the opening track off the album, the big opening track. What are your memories about? I'm not sure, Lou, if you had your hand in writing that one or Pete.
No.
Tell me about the recording of that song.
It was like Waiting for the Taking was like Here We Come Again. It was like, not one of our biggies, but we liked it because it chugged along. Guy kind of liked the Foghat, like dun 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 in the rhythm of that, and that's the way it came along. It's just that a lot of times when they wrote a riff or a word, it seemed to fit a band that we admired, kind of like that kind of thing that they were doing. So that was kind of like a Foghat kind of thing, and we all loved them anyway. So it just kind of fit. We molded it around the Foghat rhythm, where it was like like down 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 down, like that. And Here We Come Again was the same way. I mean, it was not meant to be anything. It just like everything we did just happened. I don't know.
No, it sounds like it was an organic way to make an album, right, or write songs. So, Lou, you want to weigh in on White Rock, like where I cut you off before?
Yeah, the like I said, the beginning of that song, I would come down and I would jam with the fellas before Mark would come down. Mark was kind of like, he'd make his entrance, and we would kind of like, do a little practicing beforehand. I'd get really inspired, and Pete, would come in with a great drum beat, and then Jimmy was just like this crazy bass player. He was just awesome, Jimmy Iommi. And I'll tell you, sometimes we just jammed a little bit, and things would get inspired, and that's the way we wrote stuff. I mean, we didn't sit there and write, we're going to play an A here, then go to the,
No.
It was all feel. I didn't know. I didn't know how to read or write music, or anything like that. It was strictly a feel. I learned by ear. So,
good, great stuff, guys. I think a lot of the Riot fans will appreciate all your inside information on those first two albums. The songwriting, which goes to Peter, and I guess your exit. You want to just say a few minutes on that. If you want, I mean, or the documentary could do the talking for you. You have any final words on that?
I'll just let the documentary do the talking for that.
Okay, all right.
It's too long and it's too involved, and a lot of it doesn't make sense, and a lot of it is because I can blame it on a million things, and I don't want to badmouth anybody. I don't want to say anything. Yeah. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that that things didn't go the way it should go. It's not the way it's done, and that's my biggest thing. It's just that it shouldn't be that way. It should be handled in a professional adult manner, not just like just sweep it under the rug and go hide in the closet. I don't think that's the way to get anything
well, Peter, we had a good time, man. We had a good time together. We wrote some good music together, played some good music together.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun, and I got some great memories. Listen, my short 3 years there was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that the fans. I still remember. I was, I've been silent about everything that's gone on for years and years and years until this social media stuff happened, and when it came back out to light, and people were interested. I was so happy to hear that something that we did really made sense, and people liked it.
Yeah.
So,
are you kidding me? I mean, I love struggling in the clubs with you. We had a lot of fun. Are you kidding?
We played. It was so raw, and a lot of the things that we did, playing for 3 people, playing for 300,000 people.
Yeah.
We played our asses off, and nobody will be able to take that away from us. And the people who saw us at that time, I think
a lot of sweat.
I think they really appreciated that, and my heart goes out to all the guys that worked with us, like Daryl. We called him Kind, was Daryl Goldstein, and
Daryl Goldstein and David and
David,
Mike Castellani.
I mean, all those guys made this whole thing together. I mean, listen, we were a little band from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And
we were all friends. We were all friends, and we all worked together, and they believed in us, and we believed in us, and they stuck with it, man. They deserve a lot of credit, and we worked our asses off too.
They do, and not for nothing, but the fans, that still, or still remember. That's such a thing. I mean, we're talking about 38, 40 years ago.
God bless them for remembering. I think that's
right,
wonderful.
That's right. Actually, and through this whole interview process, I feel like I've become friends with you guys, and it's a pleasure.
Well, you have.
It's a pleasure, being friends with you guys and sharing, listening to your stories. It's really cool, and the music. I mean, the music's going to last. It's going to be there for centuries to come, right? Popularity comes and goes, but the music will. Your legacy will be your music and what you did. These first 2 albums.
Thank you.
Which are iconic.
We also have to thank the guys from Riot 5
Absolutely.
who are continuing this thing. And the whole thing is, I mean, listen, they've been bringing this torch, and they've been bringing it forward. So I have to give them a big thumbs up. Donnie, Mike Flynn's, Nick Lee, Mr. Gilchrist, Todd. I mean, those guys are wonderful people, and I had the pleasure of being with them in Japan back in 2015, and they were nothing but respectful and made me feel like $1 million. They included me in everything, and the amazing part again is the fans. I was sitting there. They included me in everything. I was in there for the meet and greets, and I was signing the Rock City album. I must have signed 30 or 40 of those records at one point, and I was like, I lost count. That they still had that album in their hand, and it's like I said, it's 30-some, 40 years later.
Peter, do you get approached today with the Narita and the Rock City album for signings? And hey, that's Pete Bitelli. Hey, Pete, do you still get recognized or social media? Yeah, of course. I mean, but I'm just you still get the love. You still get the love.
No, when I'm walking down the street, people won't come up to me with an album. No.
Well, not down the street. At a gig. Gig.
Hey Peter, guarantee it. If you walked out and if we did a gig and you walked out, a lot of people remember you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the thing with me is that I really don't say anything. I mean, people find out the people I hang around with and work with. Dude, you were in Riot, and then and I said, yeah, and then they look at me like and I thank them for remembering, but they they hear that name, which is popular, and they make the connection, and then you can't really go into it with people you just met, but I mean, people in South America and England, I get things from social media, but in person, not anymore. No, because Louis is very active in playing, and I'm not as active as he is. I play for myself now, and I play whenever I can.
Well, Peter, here's something that
I would love to play organized, but Peter doesn't know anybody anymore.
Well, listen, there's a little reunion type thing going to be coming on very, very shortly, so maybe you want to jump on that.
Well, I've been telling you when I was with you in your house in Long Island and on the phone, all you got to do is let me know, and I will be there.
Wait a second. What's this reunion business? What's going on with this reunion?
Well,
I'm not in a wheelchair.
I've been discussing this since 2000.
I'm still capable. I don't have a walker. I don't have a wheelchair. I'm still active. I'm okay. And I play all the time, and I really miss the camaraderie of the.
Put that talent and that excitement, to good use, and it might come back to good use for one of these days.
So who would be in this reunion if you had one, Louis?
Well, I've been I discussed this with Donnie the other day, and basically Peter would be the drummer.
Okay, Peter, you got the job. Good stuff.
Okay, I was talking with Phil Fight for a while, and I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since.
Great bass player, great guy.
We just lost Louis. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Louis, what are you doing?
Somebody was trying to call me.
What are you doing?
So basically, Jimmy Iommi or Phil Fight, because and then of course, if Rick wanted to do it, I've been saying this since 2011, and it's really long time coming, but it's really sad that we can't get it together. There's still some good life left in us,
Yeah.
And I think we can deliver. We can deliver.
I think a one-off, even if it's just for a one-off, I think it'd be amazing, right?
Well, I think it'll be more than a one-off. I think there's a little album here. I said I have a very nice recording studio right here that I still use. It's very active, and also the fact we were talking about maybe working on some new material, and also possibly some of the guys from Riot 5 maybe being interested in doing some guest appearance. And there's a lot of good stuff going on, I think, and to be continued.
Okay, so you know what? We won't. Yeah, that's it. To be continued, right? Just so everybody knows, November 8th, the date of the passing of Guy Speranza, a wonderful vocalist, probably one of the best vocalists, hard rockin' vocalists that ever was. November 8th is the documentary, Fight or Fall, part 2, streaming live on the Metal Voice on YouTube. You can watch it for free there. All you got to do is, if you want to know, you don't have to subscribe, but you can subscribe. It'd be nice. If you want to get a notification when it actually pops in there. So these are the guests, okay, guys? So I have Anvil, Steve Lips Kudrow is going to be on. Biff Byford from Saxon's going to be on. Jack Starr, who you probably know from the New York days, from Jack Starr's Burning Star and Virgin Steel. He's going to be on. David Reese from Accept will be on. Neil Turbin from Anthrax, right? Death Riders, he'll be on. Kingsley King Fowley from Deceased. You may or may not know him, but he's a familiar face. Of course, you have all the guys from Riot 5 on. And of course, Lou's going to be there, and Peter's going to be there. And Steve Loeb will make an appearance there. And that's about it. And I think it's going to be, I'm still tweaking it. It looks pretty good so far. I think this is like a story. This is like a never-ending story. And
no kidding.
It's a never-ending story, and I think everybody in this film should be honored and privileged to be part of this family, and including Riot 5, because they are an extension. They are part of the whole family, and they're keeping the music alive and out there, and keeping you guys, your legacy alive, and it's all great. It's all a family. And also the induction. So January 24th, the Hall of Heavy Metal History. We had Pat right at the beginning of the show. He's going to be inducting, or his committee, his team is going to be inducting Riot into the Hall of Heavy Metal History, which is fantastic. Nice. Louis will be there. Jimmy will be there. I'll be there. And Pete, well, we'll see if he's going to be there, and we'll have.
I'm going to make sure. I'm going to make sure Pete's there.
Rick Ventura.
I'm grabbing him by the neck.
Donnie will be there. The Riot 5 guys will be there. It's going to be a great time. So everybody should go get your tickets. Go to the Hall of Heavy Metal History webpage. Guys, any final last words? I had a great time, actually. An hour and 18 minutes ago. Pete, aren't you happy? Aren't you happy we did this today? We were going to do this tomorrow, but today was better.
Please tell me you're recording this.
It's recording. By the way, I'd like to say just one last thing. I was talking with Guy's wife, Gina Speranza, the other day, and we had a wonderful talk and stuff like that. We're talking about the old times. I hope one day she comes out and says a few things. She's a wonderful lady, real sweet, and man, she has some stuff that I think everybody would be interested in hearing.
Perfect.
She doesn't think so, but I think she would have plenty to say, and people would be interested in listening to it or hearing it.
Yeah, and also, hats off to Jimmy Iommi and Phil Fight, who
Jimmy, great bass player.
And Phil was supposed to be on the show today, and he was having some issues. I called him up today, and I go, "What's going on?" And it was more like computer issues, and but he's going to be on. We're going to have him on. We will have him on to talk about his days with Riot and what he's done afterwards. Anything else you guys want to plug? Yeah. Phil's great, man. Phil's great. And Jimmy Iommi, if we ever get in touch with him, we could have him on as well, because man, his bass work is great. On the
Jimmy.
He's a monster. He's a friggin' monster.
Jimmy's an animal. Are you kidding me? They're
he's
both
a great bass player.
Right up there. Oh yeah, I love him.
All right, so
Listen more.
let's look at some text before we sign off. Billy Graham, which is one of your friends, a great interview. Nice to know they're still rocking. Do you guys know Billy Graham? Bill Graham?
Yes, I know Billy Graham. What's happening, Billy? Shout out.
Adolf.
He's a bass player. He's a bass player. Great bass player I've been playing with.
Okay, and there's Adolf. Riot lives forever. It's a big family. And Tom, of course, he says, I'd remember Pete if he was walking down the street. And, and Daryl Goldstein, practice in the basement. I guess you guys told you to practice in the basement. And who else we got here? Just going.
Good friend, Daryl. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I did. To me,
well, Jimmy, my hat's off to you too, my friend. You're doing a great job, and trying to get this story out.
Trying, man. Look, it's not going to be perfect. You can't overturn every rock, but as long as you focus on the positive and the music and the legacy, and that's what I think the most important thing is. There's just so many stories. There's stories here and there, and
Jimmy, I could keep you here past midnight if I had to. You can forget about it.
Forget about it. All right, guys. So Yvonne says, great interview. Thank you. Waiting November 8th and patiently. So there you go. November 8th, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay. Shout out to my son, Alex. Love you, buddy.
All right, guys. I'll stop.
Louis, I'll talk to you.
Okay,
Peter,
guys.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
Okay.
Bye, guys.